Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today we're taking on a story that's gone global, one that sparks some pretty intense debate, and it really makes you think about what we even consider life as we know it. We're diving into, alleged discoveries in Mexico, the alleged discovery of non-human corpses.
Yeah, it's not every day a story comes along that kind of pulls you in from all these different angles, you know? You've got the outer edges of science, and then it hits mainstream news all at once. It's amazing looking at what you've sent over, just how many different reactions this one claim has caused. Wild.
Absolutely. So let's set the scene, go back to insert year, right? We've got insert name, who is a journalist and ufologist from Mexico. And okay, sure, some articles you sent over mentioned he's had, some controversial claims before. But this time felt different, didn't it? He comes forward presenting what he says is actual tangible proof of extraterrestrial life.
And from what the reports say, the way these, alleged findings were shown, it was very deliberate. It's a whole presentation, almost like the unveiling itself was part of the story, shaping how people saw it before anyone could even really analyze anything.
For sure. The images, instantly captivating. These small figures, humanoid in shape, they had what were described as elongated skulls and just the whole skeletal structure. It just didn't seem to line up with anything we know, anything earthly. It was a powerful image and hard to just brush off.
Right, and it wasn't just the visuals, the press coverage, the initial presentations, they were all about the claims that came with these figures. They talked about ancient origins, carbon-14 dating, suggesting they could be thousands of years old, a bone structure supposedly unlike anything we've ever recorded, and of course those elongated skulls, and then the DNA analysis. Heated debates about that, hinting at a non-terrestrial origin. It's like a whole bunch of big claims, each one needing a serious, close look.
And then there's the location itself. Insert location. It's almost like another piece of this whole puzzle, isn't it? Like you pointed out in some of the background stuff, this area is practically famous for UFO stories, for reports of all sorts of weird phenomena. For some, it adds to the mystery, makes it even more intriguing. But for others, it might just fuel their skepticism. Try to picture it, though. These small, delicate figures laid out there for everyone to see. Their bones, their very forms, seemingly whispering about a reality we can barely grasp. Insert. Name was adamant. He said these weren't deformed humans, not some unknown animals. This was something else entirely. Something alien.
That initial image, definitely packs a punch.
Yeah.
But thinking about how science works, the whole process, which is a big theme in some of those critical articles you sent, the way the scientific community reacted, it was almost predictable, wasn't it?
Yeah, you're right. A lot of sources describe it as a wave of skepticism. Almost instantly, experts from all different scientific fields started raising concerns. And they had good reason to.
Oh, absolutely. Several scientific commentaries you shared really hit on this point. The core principles of scientific investigation, rigorous methodology, independent verification from other labs, peer review, publishing findings for others to scrutinize those things seem to be missing from how these alleged findings were first presented.
And those reports are very detailed about the criticism. It came fast and it was pointed. Where were the independent analyses? Analyses from respected institutions, the kind that carry weight. Where was the data, the methods they used, the raw information that would let other scientists look at the claims and see if they hold up? And the big one, the peer-reviewed publications, in established scientific journals where it gets put through the ringer. This lack of clear origin for the remains, the chance of manipulation, misinterpretation, those weren't just minor details. They were huge problems in how these claims were being presented as scientific evidence. Totally understandable why anyone who knows how science works would raise red flags.
And that leads us to a really important idea that comes up in a lot of the scientific commentary: the burden of proof. Extraordinary claims, by their nature, need extraordinary evidence to back them up. Evidence that's rock solid, transparent, and that other scientists can replicate. The scientific community has developed these protocols, these rules, over a long time. It's all about making sure what we think we know about the world is based on information we can trust, that can be verified. So when those rules are skipped or ignored, a skeptical response isn't just appropriate, it's essential. It's a safeguard against misinformation.
And this widespread skepticism from the scientific community, it probably, maybe even inevitably, opened the door for another narrative to take hold.
That's right, we're talking about conspiracy theories, no definitive answers from mainstream science, plus the fact that the claims were so sensational, so attention-grabbing, it created the perfect breeding ground for alternative explanations to pop up and spread like wildfire. It's really interesting looking at some of those online discussions you sent, how these conspiracy theories are structured. Often they say that there are powerful forces at play. Governments, international groups, shadowy figures, they claim these forces are actively hiding the truth about extraterrestrial life. And their reasoning, usually something along the lines of, if this truth got out, it would rock the boat big time. Upend society, shake up established power, mess with religious beliefs.
Exactly. The story they weave often involves elaborate disinformation campaigns to keep the public confused, accusations of pressure on scientists to discredit the findings, and claims of real evidence being tucked away in some secret archive somewhere. And like you said before, insert location, with its reputation as a UFO hotspot in so many accounts, that gets used in these theories as proof that there's a deeper, more sinister truth being covered up. It's a story that clearly resonates with a certain segment of the public, tapping into those existing anxieties about authority and that deep desire for answers to the big questions.
You know, if we think about broader societal trends, conspiracy theories often become really appealing in situations like this because people crave simple explanations that cover everything, especially when faced with complex, uncertain events. It can give them a sense of order, of understanding, even if that understanding is built on speculation rather than solid evidence, and the idea of a hidden truth, something only a few people know, that can be empowering for those who think they're in the loop.
But then we've got another major reaction, this time from within the ufology community. And some of your sources suggest they pretty much welcome these claims with open arms. For many who have always believed we're not alone, this was like a huge win. It looked like they finally had concrete proof to back up what they've been saying all along.
What's interesting about the ufology perspective, based on their publications and online forums, is how closely it's tied to cultural narratives and beliefs that already exist. Mexico, like you mentioned, has this rich history of UFO sightings, unexplained stuff in the sky. This alleged discovery, for a lot of folks in this community, it fits right into that existing framework. It reinforces a story they've been building for decades.
They often point to the ancient astronaut theory, the idea that aliens visited Earth way back when, and might have even helped shape human civilization. They see these alleged corpses as, well, maybe the missing link, a physical piece of evidence that backs up this bigger story of a long-lost cosmic connection.
The ancient astronaut theory is definitely a compelling one. It's captured the public imagination for sure. But it's important to point out, like many academic sources do, that it often relies on interpretations of old texts, archaeological finds, things that can be interpreted in different ways. And generally, it lacks the kind of direct, hard evidence that science requires.
And that brings us back to the main issue, doesn't it? We're still missing that definitive, undeniable evidence, the kind that can stand up to rigorous scientific scrutiny. As exciting as these claims are, as much as they make you think, they just haven't gone through the transparent, independent analysis that the scientific community rightly demands.
Exactly. Take the DNA analysis they mentioned, for example. Without knowing exactly how they did it, without other respected labs verifying it, without publishing the findings in peer-reviewed journals where experts can dissect the data and the process, it's just not enough. It might be intriguing, but it doesn't carry much weight in the scientific world. You can't just say something has a non-terrestrial origin. You have to show your work. The data, the scientific process, it all needs to be open for examination and replication.
So the potential is there. The possibility, however slim, is still on the table. But until we have that clear, verifiable data, until we see those peer-reviewed publications in reputable journals, all we have is speculation. It's a cautious approach, but it's necessary from a scientific standpoint. It's about preventing us from jumping to conclusions based on evidence that might be flawed or misinterpreted.
And some of the more critical analyses bring up another important point: the chance of misidentifying earthly remains. Or, in more extreme cases, even deliberate manipulation or fabrication. Without a clear chain of custody for these alleged remains, without thorough, independent analysis from unbiased experts, you just can't rule those possibilities out completely.
But regardless of whether the claims are scientifically valid or not, this story has definitely gone beyond the world of scientists and ufologists. It's become a cultural phenomenon. It's sparking conversations everywhere, fueling our fascination with the question of life beyond Earth, and showing just how much tension there can be between scientific skepticism and what the public believes.
What I find fascinating is how this story tacks into something very basic about being human. Our curiosity about the universe, about where we fit in. This question of whether we're alone in the cosmos has captivated philosophers, scientists, everyone really, for centuries. And this case, however it turns out, in the end, it reminds us of that deep, lasting curiosity.
It really feels like a reflection of our times, doesn't it? It shows how fascinated we are with the unknown, how willing we are to consider possibilities that challenge what we think we know about reality. It's a story that makes you question your own assumptions, to push the boundaries of our knowledge, and to at least entertain possibility, as unsettling or exciting as it might be, that we might not be alone in this vast universe. It holds up a mirror to our hopes, our fears of the unknown, and our constant desire to understand the mysteries of the cosmos.
And some of the sociological analyses you sent over suggest something else interesting, too. They show how different communities can have very different, even conflicting, ways of approaching and interpreting new information, especially when it touches on beliefs and worldviews that are deeply ingrained. You have science with its emphasis on evidence and empirical data on one side, and then you have other communities with their belief-driven perspectives. Both of them play a big role in shaping how we, as a society, process and try to make sense of extraordinary claims like this.
So, the story of these alleged Mexican alien corpses, it feels like it's still being written. We don't have a clear ending yet. It's like we're in the middle of the story with more questions than answers.
That's exactly it. The lack of conclusive evidence, at least for now, means the mystery remains unsolved. Will we see more rigorous analysis in the future? Analysis that changes everything we think we know? Only time will tell.
It leaves you wondering, will we ever have definitive proof? Proof that science can't refute? Will the truth, whatever it may be, eventually come to light? Or will this just become another intriguing but ultimately unexplained enigma? Another file in the ever-growing cabinet of the strange and unexplained. Maybe as technology keeps advancing, we'll have the tools we need to really crack this case. But until then, all we have are the echoes of speculation, the whispers of possibility, and that age-old question: are we truly alone in the universe?
A lot to think about, for sure. This case is so compelling because it brings together the high standards of scientific evidence, the public's endless fascination with the unknown, and that enduring allure of the possibility of life beyond Earth. It's an ongoing study, in a way, of how we deal with these kinds of questions.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the controversial claims from Mexico. It's a story that keeps developing, and we'll definitely keep you updated on any major developments that come up.
Absolutely. This case serves as a powerful reminder of both the incredible potential and the huge challenges that come with exploring the very edges of what we know about the universe and our place in it.
So until our next exploration into the unknown, keep those minds open, skepticism sharp, and eyes on the horizon. The truth, as they say, is out there.
And never stop questioning what you encountered. That's where real understanding begins.